Welcome, God's chosen. The system was not designed to enslave everyone, but rather those who dare to challenge it. But you were ordained to destroy it. Every kingdom, establishment, and force of control throughout history has been painstakingly planned to keep the chosen ones in check. It's no coincidence that you feel the weight of resistance more than others. It's deliberate. They created a system based on deception, fear, and control, with the goal of suppressing the few who have the ability to break away. However, they do not want you to be aware of the following information. Systems created by man are always doomed to be broken by the divine. You encounter challenges that others do not because you were not designed to just endure the system. You were selected to crush it. There's a calling on your life that makes you dangerous. And your presence alone disrupts the delicate balance of their carefully crafted order. You're not here to fit in. You're here to deconstruct the very thing that was designed to hold you down. This is why your battle is unique. You were never intended to obey their rules. Something higher has anointed you. This anointing will bring the system to its knees. First and foremost, the system is based on fear. However, you were intended to be courageous. The system functions on a single, basic principle: control by terror. It's a well-oiled mechanism meant to make you doubt yourself, question your worth, and relinquish control. But here is the reality. You are not meant to be dominated by fear. In reality, fear is the only thing that can't stop you. While most individuals are immobilized by the system's dangers, such as failure, rejection, or uncertainty, you have something unique within you: courage. This is not the superficial courage we typically hear about. It's not about being courageous or pretending everything's fine. No, your bravery is a deep, unwavering power that stems from understanding who you are and what you're destined to do. Fear is a tool of the system, but bravery is a weapon bestowed upon you by somebody greater. It is what enables you to go through fire, overcome trials, and withstand blows while remaining steadfast. The establishment understands that the most effective approach to manage people is to make them terrified, afraid of being different, afraid to speak up, afraid of assuming their authority. But your entire existence contradicts this method. You are not designed to give up in terror. You are designed to confront it, shatter it, and utilize it for fuel. The more they attempt to intimidate you, the more determined you become. This is what makes you a threat to them. When fear overpowers others, courage pulls you onward. And this is why you were picked. You're not here to be controlled, to remain in the shadows, or to stay silent. You were made to stand in the light, face the system, and demolish everything designed to keep you in shackles. Fear was not supposed to be your ruler. You were always going to crush it. Number 2, you were born to be the exception, not the norm. The system is meant to have everyone follow predictable patterns. It promotes those who conform while punishing those who dare to be different. Most people obey the rules, strive for the same goals, and believe the same lies. But you were never intended to follow the crowd. It was evident from the time you were picked that you were the exception rather than the rule. The establishment is scared of those who do not fit the norm. It thrives on putting everyone in boxes, and it has no clue how to deal with those who refuse to be defined. Your journey would never be ordinary since you are not designed for such things. The system attempts to make you feel out of place, as if being different is something to conceal. However, your distinctiveness is precisely what makes you so strong. God did not chosen you because you fit in. You were picked because you challenged the existing quo. When others follow established patterns, you choose unexpected pathways. The system is based on patterns, and you destroy every single one. This makes you dangerous, unpredictable, and uncontrollable. You were not picked for comfort or convenience. You were picked because you have the courage to stand out while everyone else strives to blend in. The system cannot manage someone who does not follow its rules. You were never supposed to live by their standards, follow their expectations, or seek the same worthless ambitions. You were destined to break the patterns, challenge the conventions, and shatter every constraint that they attempted to impose on you. While the system prioritizes control, you choose freedom for yourself and others. Number 3, anointing isn't a privilege. It is a weight that you are designed to bear. Being selected does not imply receiving special treatment or having an easy route. It is not about elevating oneself above others for the sake of it. In actuality, the reverse is true. Being selected entails a weight, a significant duty that others will not comprehend. You are not anointed for comfort. You are anointed for conflict. Battles are never easy. This isn't the type of weight that drags you down without reason. It's the weight that makes you stronger, sharper, and challenges you to reach higher than you ever believed possible. The anointing on your life is why you encounter challenges that others avoid. It's why you're called to follow routes that others avoid. You've been given something that distinguishes you, which implies you're supposed to shoulder a weight that few can handle. Most people would crumble under such strain, but you're constructed differently. The weight is not intended to break you. It's intended to indicate the extent of your strength. Every struggle, adversity, and moment of resistance demonstrates that you have been entrusted with something tremendous. The war you confront is not arbitrary. It is a direct representation of your mission. The system is aware of this. That's why it works so hard to stop you. But here is the reality. This weight is precisely what makes you unstoppable. The more they throw at you, the higher you climb. The anointing on your life is not an excuse to escape adversity. It's the reason you can walk through fire without being burned. You were not picked because it was easy. You were picked because you have the fortitude to look beyond the fight and the capacity to crush anything stands in your way. The weight is heavy, but you were designed to shoulder it. Number 4, your shortcomings were designed to be your most effective weapons. The environment frequently encourages us to conceal our flaws, to cover up the aspects of ourselves that appear broken or imperfect. This concept is extremely important to the system. If it can make you embarrassed of your flaws, it can keep you in check. But here's a fact that most people never realize. Your shortcomings are your most powerful weapons. The things you've been instructed to feel embarrassed of, the difficulties you've encountered, and the setbacks you experienced. Those are not marks against you. They are what makes you unstoppable. The system is designed to benefit the strong and confident, and faultless. But you were picked just for the things people ignore, what they perceive as a vulnerability. God sees the possibilities. Your imperfections render you unpredictable. Unpredictability is the system's greatest fear. The world is accustomed to those who take the same pathways and play by the same rules. However, when you accept the aspects of yourself that do not fit the template, you become hard to manage. What the system fails to recognize is that your hardships have formed you, made you robust, and given you knowledge that people who have never been damaged can never comprehend. Every failure, setback, and so-called weakness has prepared you for something bigger. They've taught you how to adapt, persist, and overcome what should have defeated you. The system expects strength to appear one way, but true strength is formed in the fires of hardship. That is why your flaws do not weaken you. They purify you. You were never designed to disguise your differences. You were supposed to utilize them. Your flaws are what distinguish you from everyone else. When you accept them, you transform them into your greatest source of strength. Number 5, the system is based on illusions, but as you can see, it thrives on them. On crafting a version of reality that keeps people occupied and in control. It is designed to persuade you that success is all about accumulating material wealth. Your worth is defined by how well you fit in, and that authority stems from the approbation of others. Most folks fell for it. They spend their lives chasing things that do not important. I'm trapped in a loop that leads nowhere but you. You see through everything. You have been granted clarity that cuts through the noise when others are blinded by the surface. You have been chosen to discover the truth underlying it. This makes you a threat. The system cannot control someone who does not believe its falsehoods. Your capacity to perceive things for what they are, to detect the deceit, manipulation, and emptiness behind the mask, offers you an advantage over others. It's not simply about intelligence or understanding. It's about having a vision that has been divinely refined. You can spot the traps that others walk right into. You are aware that everything the world glorifies, money, position, and fame, is frequently empty. You recognize that true strength stems from understanding who you are and what you're supposed to do, not from playing the game that the system has set up. Your eyesight is harmful because it makes you uncontrollable. The system cannot control someone who is not pursuing its false promises, whereas others are captivated by illusions. You're focused on what's true, and that attention is what enables you to navigate life differently. You're not persuaded by trends. You're not scared by threats, nor are you lured by shortcuts. You see the larger picture, and that vision is your most powerful tool against the system's control. Number 6, that power was created. Yours are divine. The system's power is based on items that appear impressive, but are inherently frail. It is based on riches, influence, and psychological control. Those in authority utilize these instruments to dominate, believing they can mold the world to their liking. However, their power is produced. It was made by people and is subject to the constraints of this planet. And this is why it will always be fragile. Your strength, however, is not the same. It cannot be taken away, diminished with time, or destroyed by human hands. Your strength is divine, which makes it unshakable. The system may utilize its resources, money, and power to dominate individuals, but it cannot reach the wellspring of your power. Your authority stems from a greater power, a calling that transcends what the system can comprehend or manage. While the system is concerned with the temporal, such as establishing empires, acquiring riches, and retaining control, your power is founded in eternity. The system's elites are continually fighting to maintain their authority because they understand how quickly it might slip away. They live in terror of losing what they've built. But you don't have that dread. What you've received cannot be lost since it was not made by human hands in the first place. This is what renders you unstoppable. The system may hurl everything at you: threats, hurdles, and diversions. But it can't get to the heart of who you are. Your power is not dependent on external sources. It is not related to your situation. It's something far deeper and more permanent, and it makes you resistant to the system's techniques. Their might may appear daunting on the surface, yet it pales in comparison to the strength bestowed upon you. Number 7, you're meant to leverage their strengths into possibilities. The system takes pride in its strength, control, riches, and influence. It is based on the premise that these are the ultimate tools for power. But the system doesn't realize that these exact strengths are its biggest vulnerabilities when confronted with someone like you. While the system is based on predictable power structures, you have been picked to identify the flaws in its basis and use its apparent strengths to your advantage. The system is fixated on control, yet control has limits. The more tightly it grips, the weaker it becomes. You were anointed to upset this balance, to move in ways that the system cannot predict. The system depends on order and structure. However, you were designed to act outside of those constraints when it attempts to overwhelm you with force. You see through its rigidity and discover freedom where others have walled off their wealth. It's their biggest blind spot. The system thinks that money is the ultimate source of power. But you know better. Wealth can purchase influence, but it cannot by purpose, resilience, or supernatural power. You know that the system's emphasis on material gain is its weakness, since it is based on things that vanish as they strive to defend their wealth. You're focused on what genuinely matters, rendering their most valuable asset obsolete in the long term. Their effect, it's a double-edged sword. The system uses it to manipulate minds and shape narratives. But you realize that true influence comes from speaking the truth and being willing to confront what others are frightened to examine. Your honesty pierces their carefully created illusions, transforming their attempts to manipulate into opportunities for you to reveal the reality. Every strength they rely on provides a chance for you to identify and exploit a weakness. You are not picked to play per the system's rules. You are picked to completely flip the game. The 8 chosen ones are not safe, but they are unstoppable. The system guarantees safety to those who obey its rules. But safety is an illusion. It's a ruse meant to keep people in line, convincing them that by playing it safe, they may escape danger and misery. But here is the reality. You are not picked to be safe. You are picked to be unstoppable. Safety is the system's method of regulating individuals. It persuades individuals to give up their power, potential, and purpose for comfort and predictability. But the truth is that nothing good ever emerges from staying in secure environments. You are not designed to remain in the background, avoiding confrontation or challenge. Your calling compels you to go areas where there is no safety, since there is where true change occurs when you are selected. You do not have the luxury of avoiding risk. You are called to address it front-on. The system wants you to think that if you simply stay in your lane, obey the rules, and avoid making waves, you will be safe. But you know better. The ultimate danger is staying small and allowing fear of risk to prevent you from fighting the struggle you were born to wage. The system is incapable of comprehending someone who is not scared to push the boundaries of their comfort. It has no idea how to cope with someone who is eager to confront uncertainty and upheaval. But that's precisely what makes you unstoppable. You're not interested in false promises of protection, since you've been chosen for a mission far higher than what the system can provide. Your strength increases in the middle of turmoil, because that is where you are supposed to shine, whilst others retreat to avoid conflict. You go forward, knowing that safety was never the aim. Victory is where the system wants you to find comfort. However, you were picked to flourish in the fire, since there is where unstoppable forces are created. Number 9, the system trains warriors. But you're a prophet on the battlefield. The system excels at developing soldiers who are tough, skilled, and prepared to battle with the weapons of global power, money, and sheer force. They are educated to obey commands, fight, and steadfastly preserve the existing quo. But what happens when a prophet enters the battlefield? That's when things become very intriguing. While the warriors are busy cleaning their swords and showing their muscles, you arrive with a unique type of firepower. Your voice. You have a divine mission that no amount of preparation can prepare anyone for. You're not simply here to brawl. You've come to upset the fundamental foundations of the empire. The establishment believes it can quiet you by threats, but they are unaware of the power of a truth that has been waiting to be expressed. Imagine this. Warriors charge into combat, revved up and ready to conquer. And then there you are, standing in the midst of it all, simply pointing out the absurdity of their quest. Really? Do you believe that hoarding riches would lead to happiness? How does that work out for you? Suddenly, their armor feels heavier and their weapons appear duller. You disarm them without lifting a finger. Your truth is a unique weapon capable of shattering the system's arrogance. Speaking is like removing a pin off a bomb.